Hey guys, it's Delaney back with another video. I am officially obsessed with reading. I've always loved to read, but I have been super into it in 2023. I've been reading all of the super hyped up TikTok books. I've been all over like BookTube and BookTok, and I've just been like obsessed recently. I have read more this year than I have yet, so it's just something I'm super into. It's one of my ADHD fixations at the moment is reading. I've always loved reading, like I just said. It's not something super new, but I've just been super into it, and I have just finished the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. Obviously, I read the second one, but my best friend has it right now, so I don't have the physical copy with me. But today I'm going to be doing kind of like a in-depth review of this series. This book, this first one, is actually what got me out of like my reading. I'm going to call it my reading slump, but it's kind of the first book that just got me super into reading. Since high school, I didn't really do a lot of reading. And then I heard about this book, I picked it up, and I like instantly realized how much I loved reading. So it kind of got me, it's what started my fall down the rabbit hole of books. So I guess you can already tell that I really, really liked the first book. So you are following Pip Fitzimobi through high school, I guess. I think she's in high school for the first two, and then the third one she's like graduated. But she is starting a senior project. I believe they call it her senior capstone project. For her senior capstone project, Pip chooses to look into a murder that had happened in her town years prior. So we're looking into the murder of Andy Bell, which that's not really a spoiler. You find that out in the beginning. We're also looking into the death of Sal Sine, who was Andy's boyfriend, and so everyone in the town assumes that he did it, and he wasn't convicted for it because obviously he is also unfortunately passed away through offing himself. I'm trying to keep this YouTube friendly, so because that's YouTube friendly, I don't know, but maybe that's not what it seems to be. So you're following Pip in the investigation of this murder, who everyone in the town thinks is solved already. And I'm trying not to say anything that's too like spoiler-ish, but I think all of this you kind of like find out in like the first chapter. It's been months since I've read this book, so I don't remember every single little detail anyhow. But yeah, Pip goes ahead and meets Sal's brother Ravi, and then through that they kind of start investigating together. Romance ensues, of course. Anytime there's a female and a male lead in a book, you can kind of assume. I'm not going to go too in depth of their romance, but there is a side plot of romance. So yeah, this book I gave a 5 out of 5. By the way, I do have a Goodreads account. If you also have a Goodreads account, you should go like be my friend on there, and we can like look at each other's reviews on books and ratings and all of that. I'll link it down below. So yeah. Anyway, I gave this book a 5 out of 5. I read it in 24 hours. I picked it up one morning. I read all that day, and then I went to bed, and then in the next morning I picked it up and I finished it. So, but it was within 24 hours for sure. So this book I couldn't put down. I was gonna pull an all-nighter to finish it, but I think I had school the next morning or something. I don't remember. No, was I? Yeah, I think I had school or something. I don't remember, but yeah, I gave this book a 5 out of 5. I couldn't put it down. Every page just surprised me a little bit more. When you finally find out like whodunit type situation, I was shocked. I audibly gasped out loud. this book is so good. Got me out of my, like I said, reading slump, more got me into reading type deal. Holly Jackson, thank you for this one. Now on to the second book, which I also thoroughly enjoyed. Again, it's been a few months since I read that one, so I don't remember every single detail, but there are parts of it that I vividly remember, and that's kind of how I know I like a book, when I just like vividly remember something. So yeah, in the second book, Pip has started a podcast talking about the case that she went over in this book. So she does a whole podcast over Andy Bell's death and all the mysterious stuff, and basically the whole podcast is about her investigation and how she found out the truth. So then in this book, no, I don't have the second book. Then in the second book, you are following her kind of after the events of the first book. So her podcast has been released. She's having all this like media attention. Her podcast like totally blows up. And then one of her friends, Connor's brother, goes missing. So then he's asking Pip basically like for her help to go back into the detective force and, you know, find his brother. They reported it to the police. The police believe that it's not a big deal because Connor's brother at that point is like an adult. So they kind of write it off, and Connor is talking to Pip and he's like, this isn't like my brother. He wouldn't just go missing like this, like something's wrong. So then the whole book is you following Pip in her investigation to find Jamie. Book, I gave the second book 4 stars. And I gave it 4 stars because I don't think it's as good as the first one. I think the first one just is magical. I mean, I gave it 5 stars, and I only give books that are like top tier, my favorite books of all time, 5 stars. 5 stars is reserved for the big leagues. So I honestly didn't think the second book was as good as the first book, but it was like almost there. You know what I mean? I'd maybe even give it a 4.5. There was just a little something that I was like, you know, it just didn't give me the same feeling as the first book. But the reveal at the end is like, I don't even know. I feel like I'm fairly good at predicting books. I can typically tell within the first few chapters, like, or when things kind of start to unravel, like I can typically guess what's gonna happen. Not in the second book. I had no idea, and maybe that's just me. Maybe everyone else who's read this book has a total clue, but I didn't. I had no idea about this reveal at the end, and I cannot even remotely say what it's even about because I feel like it will give it away. So you need to just go read it for the shock factor. Yeah. And then the ending, I didn't love. I definitely like, I don't know. It's just a little heart-wrenching, I think. Not enough to make me cry. I didn't cry. But I think that I was definitely upset by the ending. So yeah, second book is a 4 stars, maybe 4.5, just for that like total plot twist. So yeah, it was good, but it wasn't first book good. And then finally, the book I finished like 20 minutes ago, we have As Good as Dead. I just finished this and I wanted to sit down and talk about it while it was still completely fresh in my brain. So this book occurs again after the second book. They're all pretty like consistent in timeline. You don't have any huge jumps or anything in age. So Pip has like just graduated from high school. She's going to be like going off to Columbia in the fall to study. I don't even know if they say what she's going to study. I think it just says she's going to Columbia, but maybe it says what she's studying. I don't remember. Her And this is a spoiler for like kind of the second and third book. No, this is a little bit of a spoiler for the first book. Her and Robbie are still together. Obviously, the plot of romance, her and Robbie get together. Like, I don't think that's a surprise to anyone at the end of the first book. But anyway, her and Robbie are still together. They're still doing their podcast. And then I'm trying to think what starts out the, like, Pip is going through a lot of, like, PTSD type behaviors, because of everything that happened at the end of the second book. I want to make this book I want to make this video pretty spoiler free, just because I want someone to be able to watch this video if they're thinking about reading this series, to get an idea of if they should read it. So I don't want to do any spoilers, but Pip is going through it from the events at the end of the second book. She is, again, a little bit of a spoiler, but you find this out in the beginning. She is using medication to, like, medicate herself. She is using drugs. Not like, yeah, she is popping pills, if that's what we want to say, to kind of, like I said, self-medicate from some things that have happened. She keeps, like, her hands are always really sweaty. She's kind of just having a really physical, like, PTSD reaction to everything that happened in the second book. So you're kind of following her as she's trying to heal, but there's just a lot going on, and then she's going to go off to college. And then you're following her start to investigate a case of what is called the DT killer in this book. It's obviously a made-up killer that stands for the duct tape killer. So someone was convicted. This happened years earlier in, like, this world. Happened years earlier, and basically Pip finds out that possibly the person convicted wasn't the correct person at all, and everyone just totally believes that he is. So you see Pip kind of start to investigate this, and then a total plot twist happens, and you do find out who the real DT killer is, but I literally cannot say anything else about the book after her starting to investigate the series, after she starts to investigate the DT killer, literally anything else I say is going to be a spoiler. I can't even mention, like, I don't know. It totally flips upside down. And that's why I ranked this book 3 stars. So as you can tell, the first book is 5 stars, the second book is 4 stars, and this one is down to 3 stars. I rated it 3 stars because it was still good enough for me to finish. I didn't DNF it or anything, which means do not finish, by the way. It was good enough. It kept me page turning. I did want to know what happened, but I just felt like the giant kind of plot and, like, plot twists that happened in the middle of the book just seemed so out of character for Pip. And, like, I understand that's part of it, and it was part of that character development after everything that happened in the second book, trying to prove that she's, like, not the same person anymore, which I totally understand, but I just felt like it didn't make sense for her character to do what she did. And then after she did what she did, she involved a whole other bunch of people to try to, like, get out of what she did, and I don't know. I don't think it makes sense. I feel like the Pip that, like, we've grown to know would have, like, not dragged anyone down with her, if that makes sense. And she wouldn't have, like, got anyone else involved, I don't think. And I really just don't think it would have played out the way that it did play out. It did make for a good book, I think. And if it was a standalone book where you had just been introduced to this character, I think it would have been fine. But because we had the 2 other books building up Pip's personality and building up who she is, I just think it fell a little flat for me. But it was still a good book, don't get me wrong. I know rating it 3 stars may seem kind of low, but it's still like a mid-tier like book. Like, it's still on the better half of books. It just wasn't as good as the first one or the second one, which is kind of disappointing because it was the last book in the series. So you'd think that it would be this like huge finale where you get all these answers and you get all this like peace of mind. And it didn't give me that, especially the ending. Like, the last page just didn't give me what I needed it to give me. I wanted this like closure, and it gave me like closed. Like, I closed the book, but I didn't feel like relieved in any way, which is what I typically like want in a book, like an Emily Henry book. The endings of and I understand that that's romance and these are like mystery thrillers, so like it's a little different, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't get the same like closure feeling that I wanted this book to give me. Like I said, it was still good, just comparing it to the other 2, it didn't live up to the hype. That was kind of my review rundown of the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. I still believe that these are really good books, and I do recommend them to people, especially if you're just getting into reading and or you're in a book slump and you need a book to pull you out and be a total page turner. This first book for sure. And because I just love a series, go ahead and read the second 2. I do think that they're good enough to read. Like, I don't think this 3rd book is too disappointing to where you shouldn't read it. I definitely think you should read the series. And it's becoming a TV show. I saw that on Holly Jackson's Instagram, so I'm super excited to see if that lives up to the hype at all. But yeah, I definitely think that you should read these books. I don't have the second one with me, so just imagine it like floating around my head somewhere. But yes, I love the world of Pippa Fitzmoby. I love her. What's the word I'm looking for? Ambition. She has such an ambition, and I love it. You should definitely check these books out. If you don't feel like reading the second 2, at least read the first one. There's not really any like cliffhangers on this book to where you like absolutely need to read the second 2. It just kind of goes on and sees like other cases that she kind of deals with. But the first one, absolutely 5 out of 5 read for me. So yeah, that's kind of my like book review. I am definitely becoming a little booktuber. I have already started filming another book video where I read the first book in super popular series. So yeah, if you love books and you are interested in book videos, give me a good old subscribe because I have a lot planned and I have a bunch of books over here. I think there's like 18 over there that I'm going to go ahead and read, and I'll probably make videos on most of them. So yeah, if you guys like reading, you are a little bookworm, if you guys need to get into reading or want to get into reading and you need some book recommendations, definitely go over to my Goodreads. I'll link it down below and look at some of my 5-star reads. I love anything Emily Henry if you need some good suggestions. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep making videos like this so you guys know how I feel about books. And I'm going to do some like reading vlogs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all you need to know right now. I'm going to go ahead and start reading these books. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.